Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. Today, I'm going to continue on my discussion on wireless connectivity. This will be the part 2 series of Bluetooth. For the part 1 series of the Bluetooth, I have put under the description. So guys, please go through the part 1 series of Bluetooth before you actually come to this part 2 series. This is my email. If you have any question or any difficulties regards on today's video, please reach out to me. Firstly, let's go through the radio specification for Bluetooth. Okay, for Bluetooth, the frequency range is from 2400 to 2483.5 megahertz. So this band is also called a ISM band. Okay, I stands for industry, S for scientific, M for medical. So in short, it's also called a ISM band. This 2.4 gigahertz ISM band is available in most countries and considered as unlicensed band. Which means that in most countries, this frequency band is free and available for any people to use. You don't need to apply to use this frequency as long as you comply to the country regulation. So this is the meaning of unlicensed band. You are free to use the band. You don't need to apply when you actually use this band, but you need to ensure that the emit power, for example, need to obey the regulation. So this is the meaning of unlicensed band. The number of channels for Bluetooth is 79. So from this frequency range here, there are 79 channels inside this frequency range. Every channel, they occupy 1 megahertz. So later on, I'll go in more detail what is all this about 79, 1 megahertz, or this frequency hopping. Every second, they hop 1,600 times. And every channel time slot, they occupy a space of 625 microseconds. For Bluetooth, the data rate is 1 megabits per second. The modulation scheme for Bluetooth is GFSK modulation. Remember on my previous video, I mentioned that Bluetooth has 3 classes. Class 3, they actually has the least range, which is 1 meter, and they emit out the least power. So this particular example here is for class 1. Class 1 has the longest range, which is 100 meter, and the power that they emit out is 100 milliwatt, which is 20 dBm. So this is class 2. Class 2 is the most popular Bluetooth classes. Most of our applications actually fall under this class 2. For class 2, the effective range is around 10 meter. And the emit power is 1 milliwatt, which is 0 dBm. Bluetooth use a technique called frequency hopping. So let me quickly go through this, which means that for Bluetooth, they don't fully occupy this frequency for transmission, which means that they don't occupy this full bandwidth, which is available for them to use. They use frequency hopping, which means they hop from one point to another point. So I will illustrate more on the next slides. But like what I mentioned, the master and slave don't fully utilize the full bandwidth for transmitting the message. So there are 79 channels, which I have explained to you earlier on. 79 channels, and they hop 1,600 times a second. So now I'm going to fully explain to you what is called a frequency hopping spectrum here. So the transmitter repeatedly change the carrier frequency in a random manner. This sequence, which is known by the intent receiver, which means that the transmitter going to put the message at different channel. Remember, I told you that for Bluetooth, they have 79 possible channels. Which means that they don't transmit the whole 79 channel. They arbitrarily choose one channel to transmit the message. So for example, when they actually do the pairing, the master and slave actually agree upon how the information is actually to transmit by the different hopping sequence. Okay, which means that the receiver already know how the transmitter going to put the message at the different channel. Okay, so let's take a look on this animation in order to understand better. Okay, for example, over here, the first message is appeared here. After that, you can see that they actually hop around, okay, to transmit the message. And the receiver actually know the sequence, and they actually also hop around on a different channel to receive the message. So this is what is frequency hopping, okay, for Bluetooth. Okay, so this is also allowed to accommodate multiple user, okay, because the frequency is going to hop around. Okay, I'm going to explain this on the next slides. Okay, so this is a 2D diagram here to see the Bluetooth channel. Okay, so this is the time versus the frequency. So like what I mentioned, there are 79 channel. Okay, so the channel 0 all the way to 78 channel. So altogether, there are 79 channel. Okay, so every channel, they occupy 1 megahertz, which means that from here to here is 1 megahertz of bandwidth. Okay, so from this diagram here, you can see that the rectangular box belongs to the user. Okay, so the user actually fully occupied the one channel for transmission at different time interval. From here, you can see. Okay, so for example, this user 1, okay, they occupied firstly the channel 1, after that channel 2, after that channel 75, and etc. Okay, you can see that any point of time, they only occupied one channel. Okay, which channel to occupy is arbitrary. The receiver actually know the sequence, and when the transmitter hopping around to transmit the message, the receiver know the sequence, and they actually also hop around to receive back the message here. Okay, so this is frequency hopping. Okay, so imagine in a crowded area, okay, you probably can see more colors, which means more user occupy this space, okay, which is going to share by all the different Bluetooth user. So when there are more user, okay, there will be a high possibility that one of your message actually collide with another user that is nearby. So what happened here is basically when your Bluetooth message actually collide with another Bluetooth user, for example, okay, then you will not be able to receive this message. So therefore, in a crowded area like a public transport, sometimes you actually see that your music actually skip, for example. It's because they miss this packet of message, and therefore the music actually skip at that particular time interval. Okay, so this is how Bluetooth accommodate multiple user also. There are 79 free channel to use. Okay, as long as your message don't collide with another user, then your message will be able to receive by your headset, for example. Then you will be able to hear your music smoothly. Okay, but in a crowded area, okay, you can't guarantee that there won't be any collusion. So once there is a collusion, then the packet of message will go missing. Okay, so let me also describe. Okay, so this time is 625 microsecond. Okay, so this is what I meant on the previous slide. Okay, Bluetooth use this times division duplex, and they occupy 625 millisecond here. So the master will be sending all in the even slot, and the slave will send a message to the master all in the odd slot. So this is what it means here. So master actually send all in the even slot. The slave send the message to the master on the odd slot. Okay, so with this, I'd like to end my discussion. Okay, so please like and subscribe. Thank you.